Hey, and a very warm welcome to the Into the LightWeb Podcast with me, your hostess, Joanna Hunter, metaphysical teacher, spiritual life and business coach, published author, and the high priestess of the LightWeb, a spiritual technology that will change your life. This is the place to be to talk everything under the LightWeb, from consciousness, relationships, to money, to spiritual business, and everything in between. So, I'm excited about today's transmission of light. So, when I was tuning into the energy today to really ask, what are we going to talk about today? What is the topic of the conversation today? What does Skylar want me to bring forward to everybody? We're going to have a conversation about lots of different things today, but some really important things. And one of the big things that we're going to have a conversation about today is really about setting yourself up to be the best version of yourself. Really, really, truly setting yourself up to being the best version of who you are, so that you can really step deeper into your soul mission and who you're here for and what you're here to do on this planet. And one of the issues, shall I say, with my community or the spiritual community is that the first thing that we think of in life is we think about helping other people. So we move headlong into helping other people. And when we move headlong into helping other people, always focusing on helping other people first, we do a detriment to ourselves. And that detriment that we do to ourselves is that we're operating from not a full cup. So everything that we're doing is coming from a kind of inner lack consciousness in a way, because our first thoughts are to help people, because the mission and our soul and the way our soul is structured as a spiritual person is that we do think about other people just naturally. But the big thing here is that who could you serve and how much bigger could you show up if your cup was full? And I want you just to sit with that. So put your hand on your heart for a moment and just take a deep breath. And I want you to think about all the different ways that your cup could be full. So let's start with your heart. If your heart felt full, and every day that you woke up in the morning and every day you woke up feeling like you had a full heart and feeling that you were content in life and that things were good, I want you just to go there in the imagination and really, really just feel that energy of really being there. Of what would it be like to wake up every morning with a full heart? What would it be like to wake up every morning feeling content, and yet that drive to keep moving forward, to keep expanding? And the next thing I want you to think about is, what if all of your financial needs were met? So your day-to-day bills, that rent, that mortgage, the food bills, the heating bills, telephones, all your expenses, just was not a big deal. It's always income coming in. And so those are covered. And who would you be without those daily stresses and strains that take up bandwidth in your mind? And so I want you just to go there and really move into the activation of that. What would that look like? What would that be? I want you to really, really feel into the energy of that. Can you begin to feel how your body might relax? That maybe that feeling of high alert might diminish a little bit. How much more energy that you would have for just showing up in daily life. So if we were really, really just tuning in here and really just allowing ourselves to really, 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 really tune in into the energy. And so we're tuning into these feelings of freedom and these codes of freedom. So what would it be like just to be free to really do your work? Do the work that sets your soul on fire. To work with clients that you receive from as much as you give. Clients that light you up. Clients that expand your consciousness. Clients that you feel proud of working alongside, honored to be in the room with. And I want you just to go in there. Then come back to me. Tell me how it felt. Tell me in the comments how it felt. To know that you're fully supported by the universe. You're supported financially. You're supported in your heart's full, and you're working from that place of a full heart. So calm and joyful, so grateful and fulfilling, blissful. Amazing. Kirsty's saying it's going to take a while to fully unravel in order to get there, as my nervous system has taken a bit of a hit. But I know it's on its way and it's feeling freeing. Beautiful. Freedom, stress-free, at peace, grateful. So some of you know that I've just been this weekend hosting my Sacred Sites Highland retreat. And all of the women who came on that retreat, they really entered the liminal space of a retreat as one person. And they left that space as another person, and even said that themselves. A couple of the ladies said to me that they felt very like more them, you know, more who they were. When we have this idea of wanting to serve, wanting to step up, wanting to be in the energy and helping others, and that is a driving force inside of us, that we have that drive inside of us, that we want to help other people, and that we want to step up in the energy to helping other people. And we have that drive. When we have that drive to help other people, then it is also important that we enter into a giving and receiving, right? Because our drive is to give. And if you know that drive and you know what I'm talking about, tell me in the comments that you have that drive to give. You have that drive to help other human beings. You have that drive that you want to share your message, share something, share your passions, share with the rest of the world. So Karen here is saying absolutely. Natalie saying yes. Rennie is saying I've given too much this year and I've depleted myself. Exactly. Yes, this Kirsty. But here's the thing. If we are all giving and no receiving, we can't show up and be that beacon of light that we hope to be. We can't show up in the fullness of our soul mission. So it beggars the question, who is pouring into you? Because if you're looking to be pouring into many people, have you set yourself up in such a way that you've allowed yourself for someone else to pour into you? So today's transmission of light is very much inspired by the women who were on my retreat. It's a big thing to sign up for a retreat. You're literally saying, I'm going to spend a few days of my life with a bunch of strangers, and I hope to God None of them have got halitosis and weird habits. And I don't want to throttle them by the end of the retreat. But last night we sat in my moon lodge, drumming, listening to each other's stories, witnessing each other. And what came through me was this idea of that we entered this lodge, we entered this moon lodge, or we entered this liminal space of the retreat as strangers. And there last night, in a matter of a few days, we'd been through so much together. We'd been on these sacred sites that had opened our hearts wide. We had shared, we had cried together, we had hugged together, we had laughed together, a lot of laughs. And as we sat there in this liminal space of all of it, it was just incredible to witness. And I realized something really powerful and really, really potent. And that powerful and potent thing that I realized is that, you know, we were strangers really a few days ago. Of course, I knew them as clients, but, you know, to the rest of them, they were strangers. And there we sat as firm, lifelong friends. And this is the bravery. There was a courage in every single one of those women. There was a courage to allow themselves to take themselves out of their daily lives and to move themselves into a place where they were now in receiving mode and allowing themselves to receive. Because it's one thing to put yourself into a place where you're to receive. It's another thing to allow that receiving in. And one of the biggest comments that the women had between each other was how much their faces had changed. Could actually physically see change in them. A lot of them came and their faces were quite strained and tight in a way because they were worried and had a lot of different stresses and strains of the day. But then by the end of it, as they left, there was a freedom. And so I want to ask you this question of really, are you being supported? Do you have places to go that support you? Because if we're truly to show up as leaders, then it is so, so important that we create a network around us that holds us and supports us. And I want you just to really think about that. So let me know in the comments if you have a network around you. Do you have places that you feel, yeah, I can go there? So if you're in my world, for instance, and you've been in my world for a while now, and maybe you're in multiple of our programs, you've got beautiful places to go. You've got beautiful places to show up in. And I want you just to think about that for yourself. You know, do you feel like you have places where you can go to be supported? So grateful for you and the women in your groups. Yes, I have, Simone. Amazing. One of the things that I realized on my retreat and realized is that I would not be able to come up and serve at the level that I serve at had I not had beautiful places that I can pour into. You know, we have this idea that when we're a spiritual entrepreneur, that it's quite a lonely place and it's quite a lonely space. And you know, because we're out there and we're doing the work and we're helping people and people are coming to us for their issues and their problems and their things and their stuff. We're helping and we're doing and we're busy and, you know, and then we've got our own life stuff going on and everything like that. But I realized that It is in total integrity. If we are to be a helper of others, then we also have to allow ourselves to be helped. Oh, beautiful. So Rani says, I've scattered myself between groups too much, and I decided this weekend to only focus on your groups and the other groups now, plus selected friends and colleagues. Beautiful. I love that. So Vandra's saying DPAP, the temple, and be magic. Gorgeous. It's lonely when we're a lone wolf and we think we've got to do everything on our own. Absolutely. But the truth is that we don't have to. That is so true, Simone. And here's the other thing. Who are you really being? If you're saying, hey guys, come over here and let me help you. But no, I'm not open and available for any help myself. Is that really an integrity? Is that really saying I have belief in coaching? I have belief in the work that I do, when you won't allow yourself to be on the receiving end of that? Isn't it powerful and potent when we allow ourselves to be on the receiving end as well? And then we complete what I call the infinity loop, the giving and the receiving. One loop giving, one loop receiving, giving and receiving in perfect harmony. And so I think it's such a really important thing. And that's what came about. And all of these ladies, I think I speak for all of them, they all had one trait in common, which was the trait of overgiving. It's a very common trait to have. And it took a lot for them to be in the room and allow themselves to receive. It took a lot for them to be there. And it was a humbling experience to really see that and allowing themselves to be supported, stepping up. And then as we were working yesterday in the Moon Lodge and really bringing people up into that consciousness and lifting the consciousness, it just struck me how powerful the people in the room were that I was with and the size of their missions. And it's something that I've appreciated, but not fully appreciated in my communities, is that the women who are in my communities, and that means you, and that means if you are listening to this right now, wherever you're listening to this, whether on the replay or in the group, or you're on the Zoom right now listening to this, that you have a huge soul mission. Because I realize that Spirit don't send me people that've got little bitty, itty bitty chicken nugget missions. I get sent the people who've got the big soul missions. And I didn't really fully appreciate until I was sat in the room, and one of the women there, her soul mission is about bringing joy through chocolate, but also ending child slavery in the chocolate industry. What an incredible mission. Absolutely. And we learned so much about chocolate from her. And I do love chocolate, but I feel a lot more educated today about it as a gift from having that woman there. Another woman, she has a huge soul mission of bringing community and creating a hub for her spiritual community. And that's massive, to create a center, a retreat center for people to come to and for people to be part of. And it's such a huge, powerful thing. And, you know, another one of the ladies, I believe that she's a massive mission of stepping into her mediumship, stepping into helping people. And each of these missions were massive. They were huge, and I could see the timelines opening up and how big the timelines are. But then when I look into my community of, for instance, Divine Planning Abundant Profits or LightWeb, and I look into these communities as well, I see women who have got massive callings. They're not little itty bitty chicken nugget callings. They're really big callings. And I feel that calling myself. I know I have a big calling. I know that I've only just, even though I'm far down the road now with this, I still feel like I've only just begun. My team even say that often. oh my gosh, we feel like we've only just begun. We feel like we've only just started. And so what I wanted to talk to you about was that what would it truly take for you to step into that next level of leadership? What would that look like? And if we're going to start from the bottom up, we have to start with who's pouring into your cup. We have to start with, where's your energy at? Because if your energy is slightly crispy on the edges, feeling a little bit burnt out, feeling a little bit like rushing from thing to thing, from thing, maybe drama to drama to drama to drama. If we're truly going to step into that larger soul mission, the healing has to start with us. One of the ladies asked me about my journey and what it looked like. So any of you who don't know my story, I collapsed at home of multiple organ failure and was rushed to hospital. I was told to write my letters to my children and that I would not leave that hospital. So I'm sat here before you tonight and today. So spoiler alert, I make it. But I was, like many women who have a spiritual calling, overgiving. That was my people pleasing and overgiving. And let me know in the comments if people pleasing and overgiving, you're like, oh, I know those well. I know those well. That people pleaser, she's on freaking steroids. And that overgiver, well, she has never known the word no in her life. And if you know what that feels like, let me know. So totes a people pleaser here, even if they're family, yes, for sure. It was resonating. And so my big pattern interrupter came in the form of multiple organ failure. And I went on a journey after then, because I realized that I decided in that hospital bed, I decided this is not how my story ends. So this is not how my story ends. My story doesn't get to end like this. I don't go out. I don't go out in a hospital bed quietly, meekly into the night. I'm pretty sure that I had been made for a blaze of glory end of life plan here. And I thought, no, this is not how my story ends. So I made that choice that this is not how my story ends. And I then started to build myself back up. And I knew I couldn't go back to the way that I'd been before, because that's what had landed me in that hospital in the first place. And that's what had landed me literally on death's door. So I then decided, okay, I have to do the one thing that I had always shied away from, which was to get selfish, to listen to myself, to really hear myself. What did I need to be nourished? What did I need to start building myself up with? And I got so far down that journey. And when I got far down that journey, my body had begun to heal, and I healed myself from things like chronic fatigue, and I healed myself from chronic unexplained pain syndrome, who comes up with these names, an autoimmune hellishness that had literally no name. It had no name. Like, they couldn't name it. They didn't know what it was. But I would have moments where I would become literally allergic to the world, and leaving my house would result in blisters appearing on my body. And it was an autoimmune disease. And all of that, I cured myself through my Get Selfish journey of really nourishing myself, really listening to that inner voice, listening to myself, and learning the word no. Learning to not only the word no, but learning to wield it in a powerful way in my own life. No, thank you very much for thinking of me, but no, I can't make it today. Thank you very much for asking me to do a really shite job, but the answer will be no. And just giving myself that when I didn't, really being honest with myself. And I have this theory about disease in the body. And I often feel like disease comes from a dishonest place inside of us. And that's not to say that people who have illnesses and things like that are dishonest. It's that we're not always true to ourselves. Does that make sense? That we're not always true to ourselves, right? We're people pleasing. We're like going, yes, I'll do that. But inside, we're kind of dying a little bit on the inside. And we're like, shit. Why did I agree to that? Why did I agree to that? And so therefore, illness in our body becomes this agent that comes and kind of knocks on our door and says, don't worry, I've been sent by the universe. I've got your back. Here's the plan. When you say yes, when you actually want to say no, I'm going to flare up. So it'll be a no anyway. But the worst of it is that when that flare up occurs, you're also going to have to deal with the flare up instead of actually saying no in the first place. It's about that dishonesty inside ourselves of where we, weren't quite honest with ourselves. We can be the most honest human beings with everyone else. But when it comes to the self, we're willing to martyr ourselves. We're willing to sacrifice. We're willing to be the lamb, basically, the sacrificial lamb. And so every time that age and illness, it's like, girlfriend, I got you. And I started to realize this with all of my age and illnesses that I had. And I was a very diehard people pleaser. So it wasn't enough for the universe to send me one age and illness. It sent me multiple age and illnesses. But the funny thing happened was that when I moved into alignment and I moved into deeper honesty with myself, the need for age and illness disappeared. And along with it, age and illness itself disappeared from my life. And now I live a pretty healthy life. I'm hardly ever ill. And it's incredible to me because the only thing that has changed is how honest I am with myself. I'm truly, really, really honest with myself now. So somebody says, Joanna, hey, can you do this thing? And I'm like, I'm not feeling that. It is a no now from me. And I do it as an act of self-love for me, but I also do it as an act of self-love for the person. Because you remember, when you say yes, you're choosing to pour into their cup too. Well, what are you pouring in there? What little toxic mix are you handing over in that moment as you think? And usually, what's the stories that we tell ourselves? Let's hear some of these stories. So pop them in the comments if these resonate. But the story was, if I don't do it, no one else would do it. So then they're going to be really stuck. So I better just say yes. What's the story of the people pleaser? I can't let them down. Classic, right? So I can't let them down. So I'm just going to take this space that I don't really want to be part of, but I'm going to take it anyway. I'm going to take up the space anyway, even though I don't really want to be there. And then we'll just muddle through, right? I suppose. And it'll suck every moment, but hey ho, such is life. And if I don't do it, I'll let them down. How can I turn that opportunity down? It's not that bad. So that's how we talk ourselves into it as well. How could I say no, or what else could I say, right? So how could I say no, or what else could I say, right? So feeling like Johnny on the spot. So I'm just going to say yes, because it's a simpler one to say. And yet then we're there and we're like, F my life right now. I don't want to be here. You want to be somewhere else. And you're feeling those vibes. And so the healing came from the honesty. The healing came from being honest with myself, really, truly stepping into that level of honesty. fearing reactions after saying no. So, right, like people not liking me anymore. But I want you to think about what energy are you handing out there. Skylar once showed me a very powerful and potent image. And the image that they showed me was a beautiful crystal clear glass of water, you know, like that's come out of those really beautiful streams, and the water's just extra sparkling and clear and beautiful, and just that it's got like a light. It's like the water itself is emanating a light. That's what it looks like when a human being says yes and their whole body is saying yes to. They want to be part of this. I want to be part of this. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to do this. And they share that. When you say yes, but your body is going, no, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to be here. Imagine taking that beautiful, sparkling, just extra shiny water and then just dropping a load of dark ink into it. So it becomes like muddy and dirty and icky. And then handing that glass to a friend and saying, hey, chow that down. That image was the image that stopped me saying yes when I wanted to say no. From that point onwards, it became a more honest no. And it's a very powerful image. It's what we call holographic images here. Skylar shared these incredible examples, and you can almost see them in your mind's eye. They're so potent. And so, but here's another thing that Skylar shared with me. When you say no, because you didn't want to be part of it, you no longer become a placeholder. An avenue for the thing that you were being asked to do is left wide open. Now, in the past, we'll have used that wide open space to beat ourselves up with. Well, if I don't say yes, well, who's going to say yes? She's got no one, I better do it. Right? So we've used that to police ourselves. But actually, remember, you're not a good placeholder. You're a placeholder with a dirty glass of water to offer to the person, to the situation, to the thing. So when you leave that space open, one of two things is going to go down. A person who thinks, oh my God, I love this opportunity. This sounds great. Yes, I love it. And they're saying a full body yes. So that's who else. But because you're now a placeholder in that place, saying yes when you meant no, guess what? You can't hold that space, right? Like no one else can hold that space because you just chose to occupy it. But when you leave it open, someone better for that situation can come along. And that doesn't mean better than you. That just means someone more suitable for that situation. So when we do that, it opens up, the energy opens up like the thing. But the next thing is, if another person's not found, and that's the thing that we're like, we're going to let them down now. Oh my God, the anxiety. But what if the lesson is for that person in that moment to actually pony the fuck up and learn how to do it themselves? And that's going to give them the biggest growth edge. And that we're not very good vibes. We're there out of pity. We're there because we feel sorry for them. We're there because, well, who else is going to do it? Is this really the best of your energy? Is this the best that you have got to bring the universe? Like, is this the best quality of energy as a human being that you could bring to that situation? Or is the most loving thing to do to actually say no? And when I learned this, that the most loving thing was to actually say no, my body healed. My body healed. After I went through my Get Selfish journey, I began to move into another journey. I'd got to a place in my Get Selfish journey where I had gotten sick and tired of feeling kind of sick and tired and broke. The money situation started to become a real thing for me in my life. And at that point in time, my family and I, we had been very affluent. We'd owned 4 businesses and built 4 businesses. And we'd had a lot of money. And then my burnout had hit, and we went from a lot of money to living on welfare. And it was hard. It was really incredibly tough. And I realized that as my body started to heal, that I was really very, very blessed. I was very, very blessed. And now I was starting to learn boundaries, and I was starting to learn how to contain my energy in a much more powerful and potent way. And I thought, you know what, if I could just change one thing about my life, the thing that I would change would be the money situation. Because if I could have no stress, I know exactly what I would do with my days. I'd spend my days pouring into other people. That's what I would do. It was a no-brainer for me. So I thought, if I had no day-to-day bandwidth stress over money and things like that, for me, it would just be like, it's service time, it's go time. Because a lot of day-to-day life was taken up with, how am I going to pay the bills? Or how am I, are my kids going to be all right? Or am I going to be all right? Am my family going to be all right? So I spent a lot of time on that. So I decided to name that journey. And I realized I was confronted yet again with Skylar guiding me again. And Skylar began to guide me. And as I began to be guided by Skylar basically pointed out to me that I was looking for rescue. I was looking for rescue. And I thought, was I? And I thought, no, I'm quite a strong, independent woman. I'm not looking for rescue. Don't be ridiculous. Well, the morning of that meditation where they had said that to me, it offended me deeply. But the morning of that meditation, I went out after and I was shopping and I saw a poster. It's a super duper extra bells and whistles rollover lottery. Oh my God. So I went, immediately got one of those little forms and tied in the little form. And immediately I went to the booth and to get my ticket, and I'm standing there clutching my paper hope in my hand. And the queue was about 20 deep. Everyone else, same idea as me. And Skylar just said, not looking for rescue, huh? What the actual fuck? I was horrified. I thought, no, I'm just playing the lottery. But why? So I can win, so all my problems can be finished. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was the moment. And I realized I left the queue. I had to sit in my car and calm myself down. My heart was racing. And I kept asking myself this question, why? And I started to see all of the places where I gave my power away and all of the places where I looked for rescue. I remember the time I was really, really pissed at my husband. Came home from a job he did not like, to tell me that his boss had offered him a promotion, but you turned it down. Well, promotion meant more money. And I was annoyed at him for turning that opportunity down. Never mind, my husband freaking hated that job. No. I wanted him to have more of what he didn't like. Why? Because I secretly hoped that he could just get a super duper job and then rescue me in the process. And so I realized that there was all these little pockets of energy where I was disempowering myself. And so I realized the next phase of my journey had to be called Be Your Own Rescue. I had to learn to stand on my own 2 feet. I had to learn to become self-sufficient, not only financially, but in my energy. And it was a really powerful and potent journey. And when I came into that journey, that saw my 5th 6-figure business being born in that journey. I went from $0, 0 business, to building the business that I have now, and built that business to multiple 6 figures, and created a freedom lifestyle for myself and my family. And I was able to retire my husband from that job he hated, and he came on board and began working for our company, which is a job that gives him a lot of pleasure because he sees the transformations and the changes in the people's lives, and he sees the emails that we get from people every week saying thank you for the work that we do. And so it's extremely satisfying. And now we're on a journey of really thriving, and thriving is really stepping up and becoming an energetic beacon for other people, so that when other people come into our energy, they thrive. And we see that unfolding. We see people happening all the time. They start on the little journeys themselves. They work on the get selfish principles, and they work on the be your own rescue principles. And then you start seeing them moving into the thriving principles and moving in, beginning to thrive more and more and more. But there's a ripple effect that nobody tells you about. And the ripple effect that nobody tells you about is that for every woman I activate in my energy, they go out and activate thousands of women in their energy. And together we become a rising tide that lifts all boats. And that's why you're here today. You are part of that rising tide. You're part of that soul mission, that greater soul mission of coming together and really stepping up your game. My job, and how I see my job, my calling really, is to help other spiritual entrepreneurs be on their A game in body, mind, and spirit. Not just give you the tools for your business and send you on your way and say, okay, that's how you build a successful business, but to give you your tools for your human. Here's how you run a successful business without being a people pleaser. Here's how you run a successful business without being everybody's dog's body or wearing every hat that business has. Here's how you step up in your own energy, because how you do your energy is how you do everything. Here's how we fill up your cup, body, mind, and spirit. Financially, mentally, spiritually, physically. It's so much easier to do this work when your cup is full. And so, do I have another book? I actually am writing a book called Be Your Own Rescue at the moment, but we have Get Selfish, which is really beautiful. So Rennie here is saying, I only just recently realized that I forgot my own humanness and in my business. I've got the business skills, but the self-care, exactly, right? If you are the afterthought in your own business, it's going to eventually affect your business, because you're going to run out of steam. And when you run out of steam, so does your business. But when you make the priority pouring into yourself first, I have a soul mission to change the face of industry, to change the face of how we run our businesses. A lot of people are taught the very masculine way of running business, which is, run the business at any cost, run the business at any, very linear. we got to start from the inside out. Who are you to run this business? Are your needs met? Are you filling up? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling fulfilled by the work? Or is the work another notch on the bedpost of your people pleaser? I want to change the face of our industry, that we normalize putting ourselves first, filling our cups up so that we go and we move from an abundant energy, that we move from an abundant energy. So let's have a look here. I saw some questions. Sometimes I suspect that having PTSD alters my view through. So I wish to say maybe not always intuitive, but fear. Do you have a way of distinguishing between fear and an intuitive no? Yes, I do. So PTSD absolutely alters how you view life, right? It does, but it's not a forever thing. This is it, right? It is a forever thing if you choose that it's a forever thing. You're like, I have PTSD, I've accepted it, that's nothing, right? Here's the thing that I really, truly, truly believe, that if you are willing and open and available for healing to happen, healing can happen. And we can see that. We see it all the time. It happens all the time. And in my world, it happens more often than not. It's an incredible thing, right? So what if we are living with that PTSD as though it is a temporary visitor? Okay. So it's just a temporary house guest. It's altering the way that we see stuff. It's changing the atmosphere and the ambiance of the house, but they're not going to be there forever. And we're going to be open and available for that time where they're not there anymore. So how can we start to walk that path of being in a pathway of where we're really shedding what has happened to us? So the difference between an intuitive no, I feel like an intuitive no is your own energy field will shut down. It'll really shut down. It'll be like, You'll get a kind of gut feeling that's like, no way, Jose. If it is fear, for instance, let's use something like, should I host a retreat, right? And an intuitive no would be your energy system would shut down, and that would be that. And then when you think about the retreat, you'd be like, meh, that doesn't feel good. It would have no like juiciness. There would be no like, ooh, like that kind of little ooh feeling inside, right? When it's fear, the fear would shut your energy system down and go, But then when you think about the retreat, you're like, ooh. But the fear will go, don't do that. It's going to be scary. That's your central nervous system, unregulated, trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe, right? The PTSD is only there to keep you safe. Once you can move into a place where you are open and available to not only healing that, but open and available to feeling safe. Safety is not dependent on the circumstances outside of us. Safety is a feeling inside of us. It's a feeling inside of us, right? And so it is possible to train your brain to start to feel safe in the here and the now. With that, the need for agent PTSD, who's only there like, hey, girlfriend, I got you back. I'm like, like I just roll with lots of anxiety. So I'm just going to give you some of that, like just to make sure that you don't do a lot of shit outside your comfort zone. So that's why. And then any time that there is a whiff of the original trauma, I'm going to ring an alarm bell that is so fucking loud that I'll have you crawling back under your duvet to make sure you're okay, boo. Right? There comes a point where it's really beautiful to have that, right? PTSD is a beautiful thing. It's there to serve you, but it comes a point where the service becomes a prison. When we get to that point, which is the point that I know that you're at, Irene, right? That's a point we're ready to heal it. That's a point where we're ready to say, okay, brain, thank you for doing me the solid, but I got this now. And that means you're going to have to push against the walls of the PTSD. You're going to have to push against the walls of the disease. If you're ill or if you have a chronic illness, you're going to have to start pushing against the walls of that, right? Because they're only there to keep you safe. They're only there out of love for you. And although it feels like, how can this be love? This feels stifling. But it is love. It's there to keep you safe. It's there to keep you away from traumas that happened to you many moons ago. You know? I grew up in a very, very traumatic household. My father was really, emotionally abusive. And as I grew up in that in that home, and he was verbally and emotionally abusive. And, but many, many years later, my brain was still protecting me. That was PTSD. My brain was still protecting me. Still, but there came a time where I was like, dude, you can't blame this on your dad anymore. Like, he's not even in your life anymore. And you're like, well, I'm like 28 years of age, and my father, I'd left my home a decade earlier. If I only had a better dad. At what point are you going to take responsibility for your life, Joanna? Or are you always going to engage in the blame game? And I realized at that point, I got to start putting one foot in front of the other and learn to kind of be my own rescue. So be your own rescue can be in lots of layers. It can be financial. It can be really learning that it's okay. Your body doesn't need to keep protecting you anymore because you got this. And you can trust yourself that you got this. But you're not going to trust yourself that you got this right off the bat. Trust is built. We got to build the trust. If something has come along and wrecked the trust, we got to be the one that puts the first brick down, and then another and another and another and another. We got to build that trust. It's about saying no and totally stepping out of it. Absolutely. So Diane Lynn is asking, how about fear of another person, what they may do to lash out? How do we manage the fear of the outcome? This is a really, really juicy question. So I know a lot of people have, they're worried about the fear of the thing. Again, it's about honesty, right? There's, like when we disappoint someone, like they're going to be so disappointed in us if we say, we say no to them and then they're not happy with us. So do this. Just flick the energy off. Let's clear some energy, right? I'm going to clear the energy off the field. Now, in this space that we're just created for ourselves, I want you just to think of something. I want you to be really, really honest. If you do not have this space to say no to another human being, how healthy is that human being for you? Really, let's be honest here. That might not be a nice thing to hear, but how good are they for you? Because it's usually the most unhealthiest of people in our lives that have the biggest problem with us asserting our boundaries and being honest and true to ourselves. The people who really respect you as a fellow human being, really, are respectful of you, they don't have a problem when you say no. They're like, oh, okay, well, that's a pity. But they don't guilt you. They don't shame you. They don't push you. They don't try and cajole you or persuade you. They're able to respect the boundary that you have. And if they lash out, and you are only saying yes because you are afraid that they will lash out, I'm going to get in your face right now and say, you really, really need to rethink those relationships. Because how good are they for you in your life? Are they truly helping you in your life? Or are they relationships that are ultimately the reason why you might be? I've always loved this, and I used to use this a lot with my clients, because I used to work a lot with people who had depression and anxiety and things like that. And I used to sometimes say to some of my clients, before you diagnose yourself with depression and anxiety, please make sure you're not indeed surrounded by assholes. And although it was a bit of a funny joke that I would tell, there was much truth said in jest. So, because a lot of people that feel low or down or depressed have got people who are very dominating around them. And that feels quite depressing, to be quite honest, because they're not allowed to be honest in that relationship, because the moment they're honest, they're policed. And somebody falls out with them or loses their shit. So then they have to, in order to maintain the relationship, they have to become someone else, because who they are isn't good enough for that relationship. So they have to start becoming another person in order to people please the crap out of these relationships that they've got. And yes, when we throw good old love into the mix, but I love those people. But if there's another but that says, but I can't be myself, but I can't say no, but I can't allow myself. And usually the story of not saying no is usually a figment of our imaginations. And the real people, the people that are the genuine ones, the ones that you really truly want to be in your life, they will not mind you saying no. They will never mind you saying no. There might be things that they wanted to do with you and they're like, okay, I'm disappointed, but you know what? Like, do you, go you. They won't ever lose their shit that you said no. That is a manipulative behavior. And how healthy is that for us to have that in our lives? And this is about setting a higher standard for ourselves. It's about choosing more. But none of us are taught this when we're young. We usually observe our parents, and they've got all the bad habits of the day, and that's how we ended up with all the bad habits of the day. And then we give them to our kids, and they end up with all the bad habits of the day. So this is it. I want to share a vision with you as I wrap up today. I want to share a vision with you. Skylar has given me this vision of 100 change makers. 100 change makers. 100 people that operate from the inside out. They operate from their inner energy to their outer energy. 100 powerful women that start this journey by stepping powerfully into themselves first, healing their own lives, healing themselves, giving themselves permission, setting up stronger boundaries, stepping into deeper aspects of ownership of who they truly, truly are. Walking the LightWeb path of the 9 different pieces of the LightWeb framework, the 333 magic framework, the 3 insights for your soul, the 3 concepts for your mind, the 3 steps for your physical body. And these change makers growing in power, starting by healing themselves, starting by lifting their own vibration, their own frequency. In 7 years, I have built a business that has enrolled over 6,000 students in 7 years. I had no idea that this is what this journey would look like when I started it. And the invite for the 100 is about starting a journey that's your journey. What's it going to look like? Of really stepping in and becoming one of the 100. Who are you? What are you here to do? What is the soul mission? And really, really pouring into yourself. Having somebody that is here for you to pour into you, that activates you, that motivates you, that inspires you, so that you can be that for other people, so that you can do that for other women, or even gents if you work with men as well. And so this vision of the 100, and it comes from this, there's an element to this 100 where it comes from a really famous experiment that was done in the 70s called the Maharishi experiment, of where they took very high vibrational beings and they placed them in different cities all over the world. And those cities were affected just by that high vibrational human. They were often yogini monks or monks of different kinds, people who vibrated at the frequency of enlightenment. And they placed them in lots of different cities, and those cities saw positive effects. Now, the monks didn't go out and preach. They didn't go out and push their stuff onto other people. They just did them. They just did their daily practices. They just vibrated at their higher frequency. And their higher frequency had this effect of lifting the vibration of others. And so I'm issuing an invite to come into my world and become one of the 100, to walk with me for a whole year, and to go through all of the different programs that I have, to take yourself through Get Selfish and Unity, to take yourself through Be Your Own Rescue, to learn how to build your business, to learn all the different steps and all the different facets. And then to continue to stay in my world as we elevate and rise together, and as we begin to rise together, and to really step into the energy of the 100, to really step in and choose that for yourself. That what if 100 powerful energies were elevated, 100 energies on this planet were elevated into a higher state of consciousness, into a higher place of consciousness? How could that change things for you? So if you feel called to being in the 100 and you feel called to being in that, then reach out to my team, Joanna's Team Hunter, and we're going to have a special call later on this week where you can hear more about what the 100 entails, and you can decide if it's for you or not. I'm excited about this. And even if you're just in my world, and wherever you are, in whatever financial situation you are, wherever you can be, we have something for you in this world. You know, we have the temple, which is a beautiful place for healing. We have the Be Magic Insights, which is a really brilliant, affordable way to begin to work with the energy that we provide here, and the emanations of light that we have. But I want you to think about this. Who could you be if your cup was full? And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Who could you be if your cup was full? What effect could you do on this planet with a full cup? It's just about being your true self and your true energy. Absolutely. Stepping in. And that's what I'm here for, to get you back to a place where you are your most honest self. Not just honest with the people outside you and around you, but honest inside. When it is a yes from your mouth, it is a full body yes in your body. And when it is a no, it also comes out of your lips as well. No. That total alignment with self. To heal body, mind, and spirit, and to become a beacon of light, to become one of the 100 change makers of this planet, elevating your energy, We're going to give you tools. We're going to give you so much in this year container of really, really stepping in. If you want to have more information on the 100, reach out to my team and they will let you know about a special call that we're doing for anyone that is interested in the 100. And you'll be invited to that call or the replay of that call, and you can see that call and we can give you all the details on that. So Irene is saying the temple is amazing. Thank you for your beautiful session. You are so welcome. I am going to wrap up there, but thank you so, so much. I hope that you really, really enjoyed today. I hope it's lit you on fire. And just take a moment to take a deep breath. Allow the love in your heart to expand. Allow yourself to feel a feeling of safety. Allow yourself to feel grounded and connected to Source. Keep being awesome. Keep shining your light. Thank you so, so much. And I will speak to you soon. Mwah. Take care.